Well, good Saturday morning, folks. I didn't jump on the bandwagon about Hobo Shoestring yesterday. If I can talk today, I think the word's out. I think a lot of people got it out. So this video is about his life, not his death. And let me tell you what, Mark Hobo Shoestring is one of the few people on this planet that really got to enjoy his freedom. He knew and he figured out how to get the most out of his life his way. Now, some people say, yeah, he screwed up his life and died at 53. It's like my sister was very much a prude. My sister did everything right, certainly did no drugs, probably didn't have 5 alcoholic drinks in her entire life. She was just a Puritan. And here's the deal. She died at 52. And, life happens. You're not going to get out of this thing alive. We are all going to die. The one thing that we all share in common at birth, you can say even at conception, if you will, if you desire to put it that way, is that we are going to die. This existence, like everything around us at some point, is going to end. Hobo Shoestring seemed to have recognized that fact and chose to live his life on his terms. He lived with more freedom and less baggage than I would say 99.999% of the people on this planet who strive to accumulate stuff and to fit in and all this trash. And people never get to know freedom because they get locked in with religious constraints, with society and cultural constraints, and community constraints, and all the above. At some point in his existence, he woke up, and yes, he had, from what I understand, I could not know this for a fact, but by his own admission, I guess, he had some substance abuse issues, which is not uncommon in our world. And at some point, he stopped abusing drugs, alcohol, whatever it was he was abusing. And he continued for, I guess, 30 some years or something like that. He would say that he had been a hobo riding the rails, and he enjoyed every minute of his life. He got older, he started having some health issues, which is not abnormal. A lot of people die in their 40s and 30s because of health issues. The bottom line is I salute Mr. Hobo Shoestring. If I can talk, Hobo Shoestring, for having the cojones to live life freely on his terms. I think that is awesome. That should be celebrated. And I think it's a lesson for all of us to learn, because at the end of the day, no matter what you thought of him, no matter what I think of him, I thought of him, no matter what anybody else thought of him, he got out of his life what he wanted out of his life. And that was riding the rails. And he enjoyed it. You could tell by the excitement and look on his face. He had found his place in this world, and he enjoyed his place in this world. And again, I salute Mr. Mark Hobo Shoestring. That is awesome. And it's a lesson for all of us to be learned. Because at death, they say death is the great equalizer. You and I, right now alive, are better off than those that are dead. Their life is over. I'm not going to get into afterlife and heaven, hell, all that bullshit. I was going to say, this we know we've got. He chose to live it his way. That is awesome. I've chose to live my life in a similar fashion, not riding the rails, but being independent and not allowing myself to be constrained by the constraints of social, religious, and so forth dogma. Freedom. And I've stated this many times. Janis Joplin sang a song written by Chris Christopherson. The very, very strong words in that song were, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. He carried his baggage in a 5-gallon bucket. Well, was it a 5-gallon bucket? In a knapsack, backpack. And he had a very light load in his life. And he enjoyed his life. I suggest that you learn what freedom is by following the example. I'm not telling you to hop the rails and do that, but find your place. Don't let the so-called norms of society control who you are. Allow yourself to live your life freely, because that's all you got, that space between birth and death. And you have the right, as long as you're not endangering somebody else's life or damaging somebody else's property or stealing, live it your way. Live it your way. Some people say, oh, he was gay or this. Who cares? Who gives a shit what another person's sexuality is? As long as they're not raping people and abusing and molesting children, consensual, whatever, who cares? Shoestring, again, I salute you for having the cojones to stand up against this controlling world and choose a life that you wanted to live. And you got more out of your 53 years of life than most of any of these other people would ever get out of their lives. If they wake up, they can learn something from Hobo Shoestring. I hope you do.